My name is Sunny Park, and our lesson is on area and perimeter, a table for 22. I like the way Aaron made this table, but my sixth graders were having difficulty comprehending the meaning of area and perimeter beyond just the algorithms. Through their questions and comments, it was clear to me that their knowledge of area and perimeter was lacking depth and conceptual understanding. I felt it was necessary to revisit more basic content. I wanted to solidify my students' understanding of area and perimeter with rectangles, so I went back to the third grade Common Core standards before moving on to the sixth grade standard about area of triangles and other polygons. Math spiral, open to a clean page. Students enter the room and you start with a whole group lesson just so that you can get them all on the same page and they're all listening, and you start with a challenge. We're going to pretend that we all want to sit together for a Thanksgiving dinner. And I want the table to be rectangular. The challenge is this. I want you to figure out, what does the table look like if it must be rectangular and if everybody must sit at the table? And what's the biggest table I can have so that I can put the most food in the middle? After you figure that out, I have another challenge for you. With everybody sitting at the table again, what's the shape of the table that's going to have the smallest amount of space? So, what's the biggest table going to look like where everybody sits? And what's the smallest table going to look like where everybody sits? The kids knew perimeter and area as isolated topics for geometry and of doing something with shapes. And so what this lesson really did was to take it to another level of critical thinking where you can see both of them happening at the same time simultaneously. And your place at the table is going to be this piece of paper, this yard of poster paper. Now this is 3 feet long, okay? This is your seat at the table. There's 22 of us, and everybody must sit there. No overlap, nobody sitting on each other's lap. Side by side, and this is your chair. And so when you put your place down, you put it down like that, and that's your place, and you just stand behind it, okay? The practice standard versus the content standard, they're equally important. You create your practice by knowing the content first. Clarissa, what do we know about rectangles?
They have 4 sides.
Yes, a rectangle has 4 sides. So we want to make sure that our table has 4 sides. What else do we know about rectangles that's going to help us brainstorm it?
All sides are straight. There's none that are curved.
Okay, so we have straight. The lines are straight. Vanessa?
The lines that are parallel from each other are the same length.
Okay, so the opposite sides are parallel and they're the same, what everyone? Length. Same length. But right now, we're not going to design anything. We're only going to talk about it. So in a second, nobody's going to get this yet. You're just going to get into your groups. You're going to sit down and you're going to have a discussion for about 5 minutes, okay? And then after that, we're actually going to see if it works. We could have gone straight from the whole group where I introduced the activity to the activity itself, but it would have been mayhem. It would have been chaos, right? Everyone would want to speak over each other. And when you have it and divide them into groups, you're giving all a chance to say something because they all want to say something. And you guys are so good at working in groups. I know that you're going to come up with really good ideas, and then we'll share them out, and then we'll actually try it. Do you think you can do the challenge?
Yes.
Okay. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Each side it will be 11, so we will have 22 of it. We will have 22 people, but then we have space for 4 more at the ends of the table.
How many tables or how many seats?
Yeah,
Seats.
Yeah, because on tables, draw a rectangle, kind of squarish, and then we take one from these sides and put another on this side, and from this side we take another here.
Yeah. So then we would extend it a little bit. That way another person can come on this side.
You can try to make it as much as a square as possible.
Yes, today I was very pleased when I visited each group and every group was engaged in math conversation about area and perimeter without knowing it.
No, those Renaissance tables are like those big ones that they have like a whole bunch, and then they have like the queen and the king, like
The king and the queen, and they barely talk, right? Yeah, it was just wonderful when Alex, he made the connection. I've seen something like this. It's when in the Renaissance time when the king and queen would sit at their dinner table. There was all this room between them, and they didn't talk very much, and that connection was great. Is that the biggest table that I can fit the most food on? Or is it the smallest table that I can put the least food on because I don't have enough?
I think it's that one.
During the lesson, I was thrilled when the students made the connection between the activity and area and perimeter. What is the most space possible in terms of a table?
So now we're looking about area. So 1 times 10 is 10.
And it just kind of came up in one of their groups. So what's the area of this table?
That's 25. 22. Wait, what?
No?
What is the area? Be 10?
10 square yards.
Yeah.
What's the area here?
But then you have 6 times 5.
What is 6 times 5?
30.
That's a bigger area. But is that 22 people?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, everyone, back to your seats with your ideas. Everyone, come on back. This started out as a challenge problem. But then as you were talking in your groups, a lot of you actually had a light bulb go off, ding, where you said, oh my gosh, this is math. I'm using math to figure out this real world problem. If there's no application, the students will think of area as multiplying the length times the width, and that's it. But what is it really?
There's like one person right here, and there's like one person right here, and there's like people right here.
It's the space inside, and not everyone knows that it's the space inside. Okay, space inside, but what do you mean?
At first we studied the rectangle and the possible ways we could do, and then so we wrote down all the possible ways, and then we found the area of them, and we found what was the largest and what was the smallest, and then so we made our rectangle based on it.
Well, when you talk about a table, then the space inside becomes how much space is there for food plates.
So basically what we're doing here is finding the area, which is how much food could fit in. So 10 by 1, the area would be 10. Then if the table was 9 by 2,
Some groups had decided to go straight away into the diagram and to draw a picture. Another student chose to do the table, the data table, where they had the different values on either side.
the area would be 18, this area would be 24, this area would be 28, and this area would be 30. So then we see that this is the largest and this is the smallest.
A mathematical connection. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually put your design to the test. Usually the objective is the content standard. Now, how do you teach it is the practice standard. And that's where the teacher has a choice to teach it a traditional way or to teach it in a way that you feel will provide relevance and experiential knowledge for the kids. I want your crates and I want your desk pushed out toward the perimeter so that there's a big empty space in the middle. Once you get your strip, can you sit down on the floor? What's the people who don't like a lot of seats? When I turn around, you're going to have probably a minute to get yourselves in order. Try to do your best with right angles and no overlap. And first, we're going to do big table. On your marks, get set, go. Okay, I'm going to 5 people right here. Or 6 over here. 5 over here. It's going to be way longer than I had the option of using rope and having them just kind of do something with string, but I think that them becoming part of the perimeter had a lot of value.